With the book now out, it's perhaps not surprising that I'm doing a lot of podcasts and a lot of interviews about the Framemaking Sale. And one of the things that continues to happen pretty frequently is that, funny enough, the host of the program will get the title of the book wrong. They'll introduce it not as the Framemaking Sale, but rather the Framemaker Sale. Now, it's always a bit of a question as to what do I do with that? Do I try to correct them and maybe potentially and not purposefully embarrass them, which is not really my intention, but I usually do point it out and correct it from Framemaker to Framemaking, not because I want to try to make sure that the title is accurate, although that's nice, but but rather because there's actually a really important difference between those two words in terms of their implications for the consumers of this research and what they may choose to do with it. And I've learned this through the School of Hard Knocks, because as you go out into the world and you talk about frame making versus frame maker, you're actually, believe it or not, talking about two very, very different things from the point of view of the recipient of that information. Because it's one thing to say, engage in frame making, and it's a completely different thing to say, be a frame maker. Notice the difference, because the difference is actually the difference between behavior and identity. And one of the things that we know about change, coming from things like Dilt's logical levels, is that when you perceive a change to be sort of impacting you or requiring a change in identity, it is a much harder change than just a change that requires simply a change in behavior. So rather than trying to tell people who they need to be, which seems frankly a bit presumptuous at the very least, rather what we're really trying to do with the frame-making sale is propose an idea of what one might consider to do. So engage in frame making rather than be a frame maker. From my perspective, I'd love you to just be whoever you are and continue to be who you are and be the most authentic version of yourself that you can be. Because at the end of the day, the story of frame making is actually a story of human connectedness and human interaction and showing up in a way that is very deeply tied to sort of how you interact with other human beings in a way that allows for deeper levels of connection. And if you're thinking, well, if I got to do all that by being a different kind of person, not only does it feel hard, but also kind of feels like an accusation, like you're doing humaning wrong or something like that. And I don't think any of us are doing it wrong per se. It's rather there's an opportunity for all of us to be who we are and be the better version of ourselves by engaging people in a different manner, specifically through frame making. In our case, of course, in the context of the frame making sales, specifically in the context of B2B commerce and B2B sales and marketing and buying. And so the question then becomes, how do I show up and engage a customer in a conversation, in a series of interactions in such a way that I help them feel more confident, not in me or in my company or my brand or my product, but help them feel more confident in themselves and the decision that they're making on behalf of their company. And in order to achieve that kind of objective, it turns out I don't have to be a different person. I just have to engage in a different manner. So is there a difference between the Framemaker Sale and the Framemaking Sale? Absolutely, but it's not just a matter of correcting it to get it right. It's really a matter of conveying the right idea of what we're really trying to do with frame making, which is help you be a better version of yourself rather than a different person altogether.